So you're thinking of loading up Wizard 101 for that yearly run, or maybe your friend peer pressured you into playing a kid's game to make them feel less insecure, or maybe you're just that's really the only two options because we all know no one has stuck playing this game for the 15 years it has been running now. I'm not saying Wizard 101 is a bad game, it's one of the classic MMO games, if not one of the best. Besides all that, you give in to your friend for that yearly run and boot up the game. You create your account and try to start your journey of becoming the best wizard there is. Well, what exactly makes the best wizard is what you ask yourself. After hearing Headmaster Ambrose yap and yap away, it obviously must have to do with which certain class is the best, right? Wrong. Well, not entirely. Choosing a class in Wizard 101 is like choosing a personality. Let's start off with the Ice Wizards. Okay? Everything you need to know about the Ice Wizards are here in this book. Well, there's some truth and some lies. In general, Ice Wizards do have a higher amount of health compared to other classes, as well as defense. It enables them to take a lot of damage without dying. But in my experience, at first glance, Ice Wizards aren't the funnest to play in the very beginning, but midway, when you start getting a grasp of the game, they are pretty cool. The health buff comes in clutch as well. Moving on to their spells, a very good thing about them is that they get their first AoE at level 26, which is Blizzard. You can also get Reindeer Knight early on, but you do have to spend some hard-earned cash for that. A good thing about Ice Wizards, they get Tower Shield and Legion Shield, which makes questing a bit easier, but also makes great cards for teaming up and playing with people. In my opinion, Ice Wizards have one of the best colors for outfits in this game, which if you're into buying outfits and stitching them, which does cost money, this would be your best class. Although Ice Wizards wouldn't be my preference for questing in this game, it definitely would be a great class for PvE. That being said, PvE switches metas all the time. Ice Wizards with that health just helps a lot. But if you're looking for a school that would do a great amount of damage, Ice is definitely not your school. That's why it's very hard for them when questing solo. If you have buddies you can quest with, that would help out a lot. Besides Tower Shield and Legion Shield, Ice does not get their first blade until level 38. Blade boosts your attack damage by percentage and helps a lot when being a new player. That being said, you probably understand why it sucks. Also, this one doesn't really matter too much, but most of Wizard 101 enemies are ice, so just get used to using Prism a lot. Moving on to the next class, which will be Storm Wizards. As the book says, Storm Wizards, also known as Diviners, aim to strike fast and hard, like lightning. While they excel at dishing out a tremendous amount of damage very quickly, they're also very fragile and susceptible to enemy attacks. As a result, Storm Wizards often focus on taking out opponents while being supported by wizards who can heal them. They're also the school that loves to beg for blades and brags about their damage every chance they get. Nah, I'm joking. I just got a little backstory with Storm Wizards. My best friend was one, and he never let me hear the end of the damage. But Storm Wizards is one of the best classes, if not the best, for dealing insane amounts of damage. They also have a great AoE hits like Tempest, Stormlord, and Bugs. Reaching higher levels, you also just get more of an insane boost in damage. Storm Wizards can heal themselves really well with the spell called Healing Current. Storm schools are the most popular with dungeons and high health bosses. Storm is also a good help with new players questing. Now, for the bad things about Storm schools is you can't have the best of both worlds with dealing so much damage. Your health is one of the lowest out of any of the schools, and solo questing is much more harder if you can't defeat your opponent fast enough. You will find yourself rematching a lot. Playing Storm, it would most likely mean questing with people until you reach that level of high damage. So early on, you're not going to be killing your bosses or enemies that quick, which will have you doing the match over and over again, or maybe even queuing up to play with people. But yeah, that being said, that is the Storm School for you. Definitely my second character that I'm gonna be playing is gonna be Storm. I really do like their damage. It's just the very beginning parts of the headaches of just rematching a lot. But if you have people to play with, I mean, that makes it 100 times like better. And I definitely would recommend playing Storm if you have people to play with. So, next up on the list is Myth. If we took a look here and see what it says, Myth Wizards, also known as Conjurers, are well versed in the ways of monsters. They can summon powerful minions to aid them in battle and have plenty of utility spells to take advantage of. Myth Wizards are well rounded and can thrive in both solo and group environments. This is true. I mean, why wouldn't it be, right? But Myth Wizards, they have the strongest spirit school. They won't fizzle as much. They also get their first AoE at level 22, Humongo Frog, which it does really good damage, if I'm being honest. Solo questing isn't too bad, just because you can spawn minions, as it says in the book, especially if you know how to work around your minion cards. I mean, questing could be a breeze. The Mythodactyl pet that Myth Wizards can also get is the best pet for Myth players in the beginning. It gives you cards like Blade, Gargantuan, Enchant, and Humongo Frog, which is a crazy advantage like in the beginning of the game. That being said, 'cause for any school, the Wizards aren't as strong, but those cards are just such a boost. Myth is also the most underplayed school, so if you like to be different, you don't really see a lot of max Myth level Wizards. You also don't see a lot of Myth Wizards. I don't know if recently now it's changed or how it is, but from when I played, Myth wasn't that popular, if I'm being completely honest. Not for the bad things about the Myth school. Just like with every other school, the beginning of the game is always going to be a little more difficult. There's only like 2 classes of schools that I can think will have an easier breeze at the beginning of the game. But just Myth school does have a hard time at the beginning of the game. Especially if you can't wrap your head around how to get the pets and just grinding for the pets or the cards. Just like every other school, if I'm being completely honest. The health on Myth schools isn't the worst out of all the schools, but there definitely are schools that have a better health to damage ratio. The stigma for Myth schools users as well are people think that they're weak, and if you use the team up feature, some people will literally back out because they think you won't perform as good as like a Storm school or another. Just a stigma around it. If you enjoy being the hitter in games as well, like dealing a lot of damage out of the whole group, I wouldn't say Myth is your school. 9 times out of 10 in the group, you will not be the one screaming "Blade me." That would actually be the Storm Wizards. For the Myth school, if you plan on using PvP, the Storm Wizards have a boost on Myth schools, which sucks because they already deal a high amount of damage. But yeah, that's it for the Myth school. Alrighty, next up we have Balance Wizards. If we take a quick look at the book, Balance Wizards, also known as Sorcerers, seek symmetry in all things. Because they dabble in a little bit of everything, they excel in support roles. Balance Wizards have the ability to enhance other school spells, making them powerful asset on any team. Health, defense, and offense, all good as a balance. You won't have a lot of damage, but the rest of your stats are good, which helps support. So talking about support, you have a really good variety of blades, traps, which makes Balance the number 1 support school in the game. As a balance, you can learn elemental and spirit blades for free, when in every other wizard school they have to use a training point. So that's kind of a big up, to be honest. Also, another thing, you can heal and use other schools' damage. For instance, there's a card in the game called Hydra. It uses I think two other or three other schools damage when it hits your opponent. This is good if the opponent has a lot of balance resist. You can use different schools damage so that resist basically doesn't do a thing. Also, another thing, healing your teammates as a balanced wizard with the small amount of heal cards you have, they can be real clutch, especially if your life wizard when questing is having trouble. Sometimes the life wizards won't be experienced enough, or they won't be ready, and their heal cards will just not be doing nothing. So balance having like them little good healing cards does come in clutch, to be honest. There's been numerous times where it actually wasn't even the life wizard healing us, it was the balance wizard. So yeah, you definitely do carry sometimes. Now the bad things about balance wizards. Alright, so now on to the bad things about balance school wizards. Talking about the healing cards, if you're not in a group and you're just soloing, your healing cards aren't the best compared to death or life wizards. So don't expect to heal yourself and do damage at the same time, just like life or death would, which definitely does make questing a bit harder. When I say your stats are balanced, it's more of a bad thing, to be honest, because that means you don't have a strong point. Yes, your stats are equal, but your healing won't be as strong as life, and defense won't be good as ice. It's kind of just equally balanced out. You can try focusing more on your health, or but if you focus more on one, the other is gonna go down. You know what I mean? Especially in those high levels. At least I think so. Also, another thing, you guys don't have a prism to deal damage to balance opponents. Balance does not boost on any school for damage, which is a very, very big no-no. Balance has a stigma also of being the weakest. People will see balance wizards and be like, oh yeah, well, I don't know why you chose that school. Yeah, which kind of sucks. And that's pretty much it for the balance school. If you like being a supporter, and that's really all you want to do in this game, I would say by all means choose balance. Me personally, I probably will never make a balance wizard unless there's like a really, really, really cool outfit for them. Yeah, but like I said, if you like being a support school, go ahead and choose balance, man. At the end of the day, it's just up to you. Alright, moving on to fire. Fire wizards are also known as pyromancers, carefully fan the flames. Their specialty is utilizing damage over time spells to slow burn their enemies to cinders. Fire wizards are incredibly powerful and thrive in both solo and group settings. First off, starting with the good things about fire wizards, they're the second strongest hitters, right under storm. Okay, they use damage over time spells, which helps with shields. Just when the enemy does shield up, that damage over time takes it off. So then when that next hit that you hit on the enemy, it'll take the shield off, and that damage over time will burn him. One thing I do like about the fire wizard school, it's easy to solo after level 22. And then you also get an AoE spell, which is Meteor, and it does come in clutch very early on in the game. Another thing I'd like to say for fire schools is that it's right behind death when solo questing, just because of how good it is. One of the best schools for solo questing is death, and for fire to be right behind it instead of storm or any other school definitely says a lot. Also, another thing, fire boost on life and ice wizards when in battle and when battling enemies. Some things that are not so good with the fire school, sorry, is that the health for the fire schools is the second lowest in the game. So in the beginning you will die more than usual, but the damage makes up for it later in the game. Also a little early on as well, especially after getting the Meteor card. Fire heal spells are low heal spells that heal over time and not all at once. So compared to like a life or death, you won't get like the full heal right in that moment, like right in that instant, but you will get it over time, which is kind of clutch and kind of bad at the same time. More of a bad thing, to be honest, especially in a game like this. Early game, also for fire wizards, you will fizzle, and I mean you will fizzle a lot. It has the second lowest base accuracy, which makes you fizzle like more than usual early game. That's something that you can change and fix later on in the game. Another thing too is just that ice and storm boost on fire, and that's pretty much it for the fire schools. Moving on to our last two schools, we're gonna go on with life. Our life schools, as it says in the book, life wizards, also known as, I do not know how to say that word, seek harmony with nature. Their specialty is healing themselves and others. Their ability and willingness to help in the face of danger makes them an amazing asset on any team. When it comes to the PvE, life is a school that heals, although the damage isn't the strongest. They are the best at healing in a group. Life will always be the main with healing and support. You can tell in the name, it's probably going to be the biggest class for supporting health wise. Life also has a pretty good accuracy. So you won't be fizzling early on like storm and fire. Another thing I like about life schools is that life has AoE heals that heals everyone, and they have some of the strongest heals in the game, if not the strongest. But especially having those AoE heals, it comes in so clutch. I mean, there's quite a few, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that heals everybody. I'll put some on the screen, just so you guys could see which ones I'm talking about. Also for questing, life gets its first AoE, which is Forge Lord at level 58, which is a big chunk of the game, which makes questing pretty slow. But that card is definitely, when paired up with the right boosts, we're trying to like solo quest or something, it definitely gives good damage. You should also make a life wizard if you really want to support playstyle. Life is not your go-to for like damage. I believe you only have a few damage cards, and most of your cards are either support or heals. Especially if you're going to be playing with friends, I would say every group in the game needs a life wizard, if they really want to like thrive and push through numerous bosses. Life, I would say, is probably in my top 3 ranking for schools on a personal preference. It wouldn't be my first school to choose, maybe not even the second, but for sure the third. Life, don't get me wrong, life is really fun to play because you do play a big part in groups. It's just solo questing that kind of gets in the way. But with having that big chunk of health, I mean, it just makes the game a little boring because of the damage. But that big chunk of health does help you stay alive when solo questing. So that's just another thing to look forward to. Moving on to our last school, my favorite school. So the emos of Wizard 101, the death class, the best class. As the death book says here, death wizards, also known as necromancers, manipulate the power of the undead. They specialize in health drains, spells that damage their opponent and heal themselves at the same time. Because of their drain spells, death wizards can easily thrive when venturing off on their own. That's one big thing about death wizards, is they're usually always just solo questing. So this is the class if you want to solo quest. There are other classes, like I said, but this is like the class that you will have the easiest breeze with when solo questing. But some good things about Death that I've picked up while playing is Death has some of the most versatile spells in the game. Also allowing them to be a great support and also hard hitting when it needs to be, especially when soloing. You have a lot of support cards that you can use when you're in a group. And then also, if you guys just need that extra boost of hit, Death is like someone to always count on. So those times where you really just be playing by yourself instead of, you know, spending hours and hours and hours, you know, in the main lobby where everybody is in the commons, arguing about dumb stuff, Death comes in clutch when you want a solo quest. It also does well, they also have spells that do damage and heal you in return, which is super great. Because not only are you dealing insane amounts of damage, but there's like a percentage of half of what the damage that you do, you will get healed back with it. And it's not only like one card that they have like that, it's numerous, which is very good. Death also has a very low pip AoE spells, which attacks all enemies at once. I highly recommend training a Gloomy Eye pet. It's something that I should have done, to be honest, when I was starting off early game. Because not only does it give you a blade, but a 4 pip AoE. And not only that, Death also has a 5 pip AoE, which is Deer Knight. If you get Deer Knight like early game, and then you get like Arch Mastery stones to add onto your gear, you're basically set for like halfway throughout the game. The only thing is that Deer Knight, you have to buy him with money. That's the best way to get him, to be honest, with money. You can try to craft the gem, but it takes hours upon unless you're like super lucky, then you'll get him early on. But yeah, if you get Deer Knight early on, I'll show a card right here on the screen of what it looks like. It's light work. Like, early questing is light work. You literally don't have to like struggle about anything. Maybe your health, or fizzling, but that's pretty much it. They also have another 4 pip AoE, Ship of Fools. You get that later on in the game. It's also one that you could buy just to have it early on. But if you definitely want to save money, you'll get it later on in the game. I believe. Don't call me on that. I think you were. I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely not an easy task to get Ship of Fools, but it's definitely worth it. Also, another thing is Death has Feint and Juju, which aren't only good in solo questing, but amazing as well in group questing and supporting the hitter. Like I said, you get best of both worlds for Death. You be a great supporter and at the same time an amazing hitter. Just to follow up with like Storm, the amount of damage that they do. Death Wizards have a solid 85%, so you won't fizzle as much for the base accuracy like a Storm or a Firewood, but later on into the game at higher levels is something you definitely want to focus on, just because that's something I'm struggling with right now, being a high level, not having a lot of accuracy on my character. He is fizzling a lot, so definitely something to focus on in future game. Early on, you'll be good. Death has a boost on life and balance. Now, some things, because Death isn't the perfect school, you don't get your AoE until level 48 unless you spend money, which you see the bad part in that. You can always, like I said, craft Deer Knight, or you'll just have to grind like hours upon hours, putting blood, sweat, and tears to craft Deer Knight. Also, another thing for Death Wizards, in the early games, enemies are full of like being life and death class, which means they'll use Death Shields cards, and you also have to get used to using Death Prisms. So it just makes like you won't have to worry about dying. And then your damage is good. It's just the process of getting through like the first few worlds and stuff is longer, just because they're the same school as you, so they'll have resistance. Plus, if they use shield, and then you have to use a prism, which just makes the process, like the battle, way longer. So a little boring. I definitely ran into a few instances where I kind of got bored with the game, and I was like, these battles are taking way too long. I'd be on my phone or something. So it does make the game a little boring, but definitely worth it. I mean, you won't be dying and stressing as much. All right, and then lastly, life. Enemies boost on death, which does suck. Like later on in the game when the enemies are doing a crazy amount of damage with crazy amount of health. So that's just one thing to look at. But lastly, death, and I blame KI for this. We have no good outfits at all. Like, the only good outfits that I can think of are from the cards. Like, literally one that I have on right now. I'll show you guys right now. But yeah, like, there's no outfits whatsoever for death. Not even like color schemes that look good or anything. Like right now, I don't even have like a death outfit on. It's just like a witch outfit from the little gift cards you get. Like if we go here, go to my character, it kind of sucks because I really would say that fire, storm, and ice have really good outfits. Yeah, but death, we kind of just get like the lowest of the outfits, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, like if you look, I have nothing that screams like death wizard, you know what I mean? The Draco windmill, but that's like an event. It's super not hard, but just super time consuming to get. Yeah, nothing that really screams death. Not even staffs, to be honest, and you can't even switch the colors of staffs at times. I mean, if we go to, let's see if I have anything in my chest. Yeah, anything that, like any outfits that really scream death, you probably will have to buy with money, just from the packs or the actual gift cards. If you don't want to do that and you just want to save money, you'll just have to get used to like a black and white robe or like a black robe, which sucks. Like if we go here, yeah, like this was from a gift card, this was from a pack. The Malistaire Deathly Locks I think was also from a pack. I'm not even gonna lie, because grinding for it was like super hard. I mean, I'll grind for items in the game, but not really for outfits. I'll grind for like wands or spell decks, mounts as well for like the keys. But yeah, everything else, or like the spells in general, all the good ones I'm telling you is for like fire, storm, and ice. It's unfair, but I mean, you can't have everything perfect on death, I guess. But yeah, all in all, it really just depends on your playing style and what element resides with you, I guess. But if you want a first beginner introduction to the game, I would strongly just say choose death, at least just to get the fundamentals of the game. Oh, voice crack. At least to just get the fundamentals of the game and to just like give it a feel, see if you even like the game in general. Maybe team up with different classes and see how that goes. Yeah, but it just seems like KI, as far as PvE, has chosen death to have the advantage for whatever reason. I don't know. If not death, my second school would probably be storm, and then my third school would probably be life. But yeah, anyways, hope you guys liked the video. Hope it was very informative. Remember, if you guys liked it, just give it a like, and then if you want to see future content, just subscribe. But yeah, later guys.